day, students. It's good to be with you again this very beautiful day. Today we're going to have another lesson presentation taken from our course outline for the Diploma in Junior Primary, Computer Literacy 2. Today we are going to look at Unit 5 that discusses the use of email in communication. The use of email in communication. So our focus today, or in this lesson, is going to be how we can work with email. How can we use email? So first of all, let us listen and see what is going to be or what our lesson objectives for today. What our objectives for today. Number one, we're going to see what is email and some of the related concepts and definitions that we need to know when it comes to the use of email. What are the advantages and disadvantages of using email? How do you compose and send an email? How do you download email that are sent to you? How do you attach documents or files along with your messages to be sent? And what are some of the email etiquettes that you must obey when using email? Finally, we're going to look at what is a Skype and how to use Skype. Okay? So sit down and relax while Mr. Edu take you through the journey of this course unit. Email. Email. Have you heard about it before? Quite sure. Majority of you listening to this presentation have either heard about it or even used it personally. So what I'm going to discuss is not new to most of us, but for those that this is new to, sit down and relax, listen to me attentively with your undivided mind so that you can really understand this unit very well. Your understanding of this unit is very important because as time goes on, we might ask you to submit some of your assignments, maybe, who knows, in future, in the use of email. Maybe, who knows, in future. So let's first of all look at the definition. The definition of email. What is an email? The word E, the prefix there, E, stands for electronics. It starts from electronics. So email means, it really means electronics mail. Electronics mail. But what is it all about? It means messages that are distributed electronically. Messages that are distributed by means of electronic materials from one computer user to other computer users via a network. So when you are able to send messages and receive messages electronically with the use of computer or via a computer network, that is what we call email. You won't agree with me, and you will agree, remember that in those days how we used to post letters, how we used to send letters, where we used to send messages. You have to write a message. After you have written your message, you go to the post office, buy a stamp, post the letter, then it will be delivered to that person. But you can remember how long it takes in those days. We are going to discuss that when we come to the advantages of email. But for now, I want you to understand what an email is. I did not tell you that an email is when you send a message to somebody. No. So be very careful when you give definitions in your examination or when it comes to definition in your assignment based. An email means messages distributed by electronic means from one computer user to other computer user via a computer network. It's not only a computer that can be used, cell phones or others, ICT-related hardwares and softwares can also be used. Now, when we talk about email, when you are working around email, whenever you are around the environment of email, there are terminologies, there are words that we use. Some of them I'm going to explain to you today. Number one, let us see what it means by inbox. Let us see what it means by inbox. what inbox means. Inbox is a folder where email received by you or email delivered to you are kept or are put. So email is a folder where, it's a folder where emails that you received that are sent to you are kept or they are put. So if I send an email to you, for example, I send you an email, where is it going to be? It's going to be in your inbox. Most of the time when you open your email, the first folder that opens automatically is your inbox. What about outbox? Outbox. When you are trying to compose an email, until, I repeat, until the email is fully composed and sent, they are temporarily stored in the outbox. So if I try to write an email, if I try to write you an email now from my computer, then I am yet to complete that email and send it to you. That email will be temporarily stored in your outbox. So the outbox stored emails that are yet to be sent, although part of it is already composed. There are other terms. Sent. The sent folder contains emails or messages. It contains messages that you received that are sent to you. So, it contains messages that you sent. It contains messages that you sent. So if I send messages or a mail to you, for example, it will be in my sent folder. Then it will be in your inbox. I repeat, if I send a message to you, it will be in your inbox, but it will be in my sent folder. Do you understand that now? So the sent folder contains the email that you sent already, that are sent by you to other users. So whenever you are trying to look for an email, perhaps you have already sent to someone else in the past, check your sent folder. They are there. So check your sent folder. You will see email that you have sent in the past. You can find them in your sent folder. Something else. Attachment. Attachment. These are computer files that can be sent or that can be sent along with your email or your messages. So whenever you want to send a message via email, you can attach a file. You can attach a computer file along with that message. So if I send you a message, for example, hey, dear student, you have to complete your assignment before the 15th of June or before the 15th of January. Here is your assignment. I can attach that assignment along with the message. So attachments are computer files that are sent along with messages sent using email. Username. A username is an account name that is issued to every user of an email. Whenever you need to log in to your email, the username is requested for. So username is a kind of an identification that is given to you. It's an account name that uniquely identifies you as the owner or the user of that email name. So a name or an account name is given to you that enables you to log in whenever you want to log in or open an email. So whenever you create an email account, a username will be created and issued to you. That you always use to have an access to your email. Password. Password. If I ask you what is a password, I'm going to hear a lot of definition from you because people give different type of definition when it comes to a password. People say password is something I put on my phone so that people cannot have access to my phone. I know you are right, but you are wrong. What is a password? A password is an unspaced sequence of character. Because when you create a password, most of the time you don't put a space. It's an unspaced, or let me just call it in a very simple way, it's a set of characters. Set of characters that are used to determine a computer user genuity, or to determine if you are the rightful owner of that account. So it's a combination of set of characters. It can be numbers combined together. It can be alphabet combined together. It can be alphanumeric, that is a combination of numbers and alphabets. So it is used to make sure by the system that you are the owner of that account. So whenever you create an email account, a username will be given to you. Your username is not confidential. So your username is not confidential because that is what you give to people in order to send messages to you. But your password is confidential. So nobody must ask you, what is your password? So if I ask you, please send me your email username, your account name. You can send your account name to me. Oh, my account name is selma@yahoo.com. But you must not send your password to anybody, because that is what gives you the only authority to have access to your email account. Encryption. Encryption. Encryption is a system we use to convert messages sent via a network to make sure that the messages are protected. How? What do I mean? When you encrypt your messages, whoever comes across the messages will not be able to interpret, will not be able to derive any meaning from what you have written, from the messages. So if my messages are encrypted and suddenly, perhaps, someone is able to have an access to such messages, will not be able to interpret, will not be able to see anything or derive anything meaningful from the messages. It appears like nonsense to that person. So we encrypt our messages in order to protect them. Now, whoever the messages is sent to will receive the message and understand. What is going to happen is that before the message is delivered to the rightful owner, the messages will be de-encrypted. So that's what we call decryption. So we call what? Decryption. So the decryption is the process of decoding data that have been encrypted. So you encrypt your data so that people don't see them. Now whoever is supposed to have access to those messages, then what is going to happen? The message must be de-encrypted. I'm sure it's common now. If you look at your WhatsApp account, you will see that WhatsApp now sends messages to all users that whatever you send via this network is now encrypted. And if I send messages to you that is encrypted, if you look at the encrypted version, my God, it makes no sense to you. You can't derive anything meaningful from it. So don't be afraid at times some of the information you send via internet, they are already encrypted so that no other person can derive anything meaningful from it. We're talking about email. We've already looked at some of the concepts, some of the related terminologies that we talk about or we use when we come to the use of email. There we talk about inbox, we talk about send, we talk about outbox, we talk about attachment. Now let's look at the various components of an email. What are the email various components? What are the various email components? Here on the screen, you have an email. Can you look at the screen, please? Please look at the screen. Fine. Now I have jackanji@gmail.com. jackanji@gmail.com. jackandy@gmail.com. Now this email has three components. The first component is the username, which is Jakanji. That one, I placed it in green. So what you see in green is the username. Remember I told you about the username, that a name that is given to you that enables you to log in as the user account name. So the user account name here is Jakanji, and it must be unique to every server. So if you are working, for example, on Yahoo server, for example, you cannot find two Jakanji there. It must be one. It must be unique. Then after the username, you have the @ sign. @ Okay, you have the @ sign. Then finally, the domain name. The domain name tells you the company, the organization that provides the email services. There are different organizations, there are different companies that provide email services. So the domain name tells you the organization or the company that provides the email services. Okay, so for example, what I have on the screen is Gmail. So this is provided by the Gmail. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. If you understand, can you smile? If you understand, can you say, uh-huh, uh-huh? Okay. All right, let's just move further. Now, I remember I talked to you when I was talking about the various email components. Remember I told you about domain name, for example, like Gmail. Okay. Now, you need programs to use the email. So let us look at email program. So for you to send and receive email, you need an email program, which we can also call an email client. You need an email client, such as Microsoft Outlook is an email client, or Mozilla Thunderbird is an email client. So you need an email client in order to send and receive email. And I've given you an example, like Microsoft Outlook is an email client. So when using an email client, you must have a server. I repeat, when using an email client, you must have a server that stores and delivers your messages. Perhaps such server can be provided by your ISP or in some cases, some other organization. So an email client needs to connect to the server while sending and receiving messages. Besides the email client, we have email online, which most of us are used to, or which is more popular. I know what makes them popular, because they are free. So an alternative way of sending and receiving email is by using the email online, which is a most popular solution for most people, reason being that they are free. An example includes Hotmail, Gmail, Yahoo Mail, and so forth. If I ask thousands of people, 1,000 people, I'm sure 900 will tell me they use this because they are free. So you can use the client one, or you use the email online. How does an email work? Have a look within 30 seconds. I'll be quiet, then have a look within 30 seconds. Have a look at how that email is working. There are two people that are working. The mail is coming, comes to the mail server, to the other user. Give it a second thought. Can you see how the email is working? So the email does not come from you to me directly. If I send you an email, I send you an email from Triumph Meadow to you. The email does not leave my system and come to your system directly. It must pass through a server. Just as what you say. So there's what we call a mail server that keeps mails that are going through that server. So the email travel via the internet from one computer to the another. So computer known as mail server direct the outgoing mail and store the ingoing mail. So the mail server It's direct, the outgoing mail, this is where it must go through, and it also stores the incoming mail. We're going to see what are the advantages of using email. Number one, it is most of the time, if you are using the online services, it is free, like Yahoo is free. Hotmail is free. Gmail is free. Do you know how much it takes to send documents via some of these courier services? I don't want to mention names here. I don't want to be sued. Some of these courier services. Do you know how much it takes to send documents using them? I remember the last time I sent a document to just our neighboring country in South Africa. I spent close to 500 just to send about 4 pages documents. Imagine you have to send that all the time. What if you are within the country Namibia? Do you know how much it's going to cost you to leave town and go and deliver some document to IOL? The least you are going to spend is $20 for the taxi. You can spend more than that. So, once you are online, there is no further expenses. So it is it's free and cheap. What other advantages do we have in using email? Easy to reference. There is no argument. Oh, I gave you that document. No, you did not give to me. Yes, I gave to you. No, you did not give to me. But I remember that person was there when I gave to you. Who is that person that was there when you gave to me? That person is nowhere to be found. Such arguments are easily avoided when you use email. It's not a problem. You gave it to me. Let me check my inbox. Just check your sent item. So if it say, oh, I didn't give it to you. Okay, let me go to my sent item. When I get to my sent item, it's going to show me when I sent it, the time, the date. No more argument. So it can easily be referred. It helps you to store for future use. You can reference them years to come. I remember some of the mails I sent some times ago. I need that document, which I cannot find. I remember when I applied for a visa to the United States of America, I needed a document. I tried to search for it. Where is this document? I remember I emailed this document. Whatever I have to do, I went back to my sent item, went back to the year when that document was sent. Then I begin to search date by date. Then I got it. Open it again and print it out. Meanwhile, the hard copy is already lost. Easily to reference. Easy to use. Email is easy to use. What about the speed? Let's take, for example, you need to bring me a document to IOL. I don't want to talk about people outside Windhoek. You might say it's far. Let's say you work in town in Windhoek. IOL is also in town in Windhoek. Let's say you work at Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration, and you could come to IOL. Very close, right? It will take you nothing less than 20 minutes to get here. Now, if you had to email me that document, within seconds, I receive it. So the speed of getting it is another advantage. What other advantages do you have? It's global. It's not peculiar to one country. It's conventional. Everywhere, it is used and accepted. There's no country that can say we don't use email. You can only post the document. No. You can use it any country, anywhere, it will be accepted. Do you understand that now? So it can be used anywhere, globally. And information is always at your fingertip. Is there or are there some disadvantages with the use of email? Do we have some disadvantages when we come to the use of email? Yes, there are some few disadvantages, but the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Let us have a look at some of the disadvantages that might be associated with the use of email. you lack that personal touch, you will not be able to see me. You know, at times when people believe that if I can bring the document to you myself, then I can explain to you. You understand? Some people still look at it as a disadvantage. Well, I will not be able to see that person. I want to go there myself and explain. Well, some says it can cause a little bit of this misunderstanding if, I repeat, if the recipient, the person you are sending it to, does not take time to read the message with full understanding. You know, I can send you a message. I can even text you from the cell phone. Your understanding of what I text might be different from what I have in mind. So I might tell you, that is not what I mean. Read it again. Or when you read it again, say, oh, I can understand now. So people who are not always patient to read mails can easily drawn to a conclusion and take wrong course, wrong actions, which some consider or might consider as a disadvantage. Another major disadvantage we can not overlook or that cannot be overemphasized is spam. Spam are unsolicited mails that people just send, and most of them come to your junk box. So you still have some of these few disadvantages at times when it comes to the use of email. What about wasting time? Valuable time is wasted at time, especially in organizations whereby they have email services free of charge. The internet is 24 hours free of charge. Now we have workers, instead of to focus on the task given to them by their supervisors, what do you have? They waste their valuable time sending emails, junk mail, here and there, you know, because it is free. So at times, if care is not taken, I repeat, if care is not taken, and if it is not well monitored, it can waste the valuable time of workers, employee in an organization. But as I said, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Don't forget what we have been discussing so far. We first of all look at what is email. We look at some of the concepts that are used when it comes to the email. We look at how email work. We also look at the various components of an email. We look at the advantages as well as the disadvantages of email. What more? Email etiquette. Like every profession has its own ethical uses of materials, in ICT, there are ethical uses of hardware and software and other related items. Email is not left out. So when you use email, there are these do's and don'ts. Don't do this, you must do this. So we have some of our commandments also, what I would call commandment. So there are things you must not do when you use the email, and there are things you must do when you use the email. I will mention or discuss few of them. Number one, do not use email to discuss confidential information. Always use a meaningful subject. I will emphasize the issue of a meaningful subject when it comes to the practical area of how to create and use email. Do not forward viruses. Read your mail before you send. Have you ever, or can you remember, there was a time you text a message, you did not read it properly, you send. After it went, if I have none, I didn't check this thing. You want to, it's as if you should hold the phone and bring back the phone, but it is gone. Or probably it went to a wrong hands. So check your address before you send. Read your messages before you send. Check your spelling. Check your grammar. Check your punctuations. These little but mighty commandments can change the meaning of your messages, especially punctuations, grammar, spellings. Once the spelling is wrong, it can change the entire meaning. If the grammar is wrong, it can change the entire meaning. Remember, email is sent, received by someone else. You will not be there to explain. The person will read whatever you might have sent. When you have large or you have a lot of documents to send, zip them together. I'm going to demonstrate to you how to do that later. Do not type everything in capital letter. If you type everything in capital letter, it means you are angry or you are kind of not comfortable. You see, it means you are harsh somehow. So you can just type all your mails, dear Mr. Triumph, how are you today? Everything in capital letter, it is not advisable.